Planet Vero Studios, brought to you by Evergreen Media, creating cohesive marketing campaigns. Evergreen Media in Vero Beach.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Growing Old Fearlessly, the show in which we talk about the process of growing older one day at a time. I'm your host, Julie, and in today's show, we're going to be talking about hair, specifically gray hair. I want to show or talk about a quote from an old comedian, Rodney Dangerfield. He said, "It's great to have gray hair. Ask any bald person out there." So today, I'm talking to two of my guests. They are definitely not bald. They have a nice set of hair. Going gray, let me introduce you to my friends, Adria and Katie. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
I'm so happy that you're here. When I asked Katie to come onto the show, I asked her if she would feel comfortable talking about hair. And what was your answer?
Of course, I love talking about hair.
She loves.
I'm a Leo.
She grew up in a family of hairdressers, and so she's like, I can talk about hair all day long.
Yes, ma'am, I sure can. I do. And since going gray, it's a topic that I get asked about actually a lot, shockingly. I didn't think that would be a side effect of going gray, but it is.
It is. So do you know that 50% of the population has 50% of gray hair by the age of 50?
Yes, I would agree. I don't know that statistic, but I would agree.
Yeah. So it was funny. I was just kind of like looking around, on the internet, trying to look for information on gray hair. I mean, not that I have it. It's right there. I don't have to go looking for it too much. But to find certain facts was really interesting. And do you know that ethnicity makes a difference in how soon you get gray hair?
I could see that, but I did not know.
So Caucasians are the earliest ones, and out of all the Caucasian people, redheads are the ones who get gray hair the earliest.
Interesting.
I wonder if that's because of the less pigment to start with.
It could be, exactly, because it's all about pigment. So Asians follow Caucasians, and African Americans are in third place. Hispanic people like me, we don't know where we fit in, apparently. We are a great combination of European and Native Indian and Africans, and so we are kind of like in limbo between the Asians and the Caucasians. So, but I did get my gray hair, or I started getting gray hair at about 30 some. I think I was in my mid 30s when I saw a few little silver strands in there, and I would go and pull them right out.
And you know what they say, you pull one, 10 more come back. So
well,
that's
we'll see
what I was told. So I never pulled them, but obviously more than 10 came in.
Exactly. So I wanted to show, we do have a graphic that we're going to show on screen of some real women who decided to embrace their gray hair, and their ages range between 33 to 57. I found these online, and I mean, like, it doesn't matter beautiful. What age you are, right? And we talked about this earlier. I don't care if women color their hair or not. Mm-hmm. You do you, I do me. But it's amazing to see the women that decide to go natural and allow their natural beauty to come out. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it is an empowering thing to be able to say, this is what I'm doing. And so Absolutely. With that said, I wanted to hear from one of you. Let's start with Katie, because you are the youngest of our little trio here today. Yes. You're in your 40s, yes, and tell us did you ever color your hair before?
I did. I started going gray in my later 20s with, like you said, the few strands here and there that were starting to show. But by my 30s and mid 30s, I had a pretty significant, it's all up front for me, not all of it, but starting up front. So, you know, I didn't want to look old in your 30s, and that's the perception, and that's what we're fed, you know, you're old if you have gray hair. But it was such a prominent white up front that when you colored, within 2 weeks, I had basically looked like a bald spot because it was so white. So by the time I turned 40, it was just after my 40th birthday, my mom, who is a hairdresser, colored my hair. I was like, I can't do this black anymore. I can't do the brown. It just looks terrible. It was fried. And she did this beautiful red on me. And it was so beautiful because blonde is not a choice for me, which is how most people start transitioning, right? So I was like, blonde is not going to work for me. She did this gorgeous red, and I just knew I couldn't upkeep it. She's 600 miles away. And I just thought about it for a while, and I looked at my husband one day and I said, I think I'm going to stop coloring my hair, and I really want to just go gray. I was like, would you be okay with that? And he said, I'll do it with you. I don't care. He has no gray hair, but he didn't care, and he was very supportive. And that was probably 2-3 months after my 40th birthday, and I haven't colored since then. And I will be 49 in August, and so it's been a very happy almost 9 years for me, and I don't regret not one moment. I don't look back and go, gosh, I wish. There's never a day I look at someone else and go, gosh, I wish I looked like them. I never, ever, not one time got a compliment on my colored hair, ever. Not box colored, not salon colored, never. But since I have been gray, I get stopped almost daily. If I go out in public, I'll get, oh my gosh, I love your hair. Is it real? Did you color it? You know, how did you do that? Young people, older people, men, women, it's just been a shock to me how many people comment on it.
And it's pretty liberating, right? Because, I mean, I know that for myself, not having to spend 3 hours at the hair salon getting my hair done, with all the different things that I was getting done at the time, it's like 3 hours that I gained of my life.
And then you 2 weeks later are like, I got to do this again.
Right.
You don't have to.
I have to tell you, when I met you and I saw your beautiful hair, yes, everybody pays you compliments. I was still coloring mine. And when I made my decision to go gray, you were like, I don't want to say my main inspiration, but you were like it. I was like, I want hair like Katie has hair.
And I remember when you started not coloring, and I was so happy to see it. I was like, oh my gosh, she stopped coloring. And I really try to encourage a lot of people. Like you said, it's a choice. You do whatever you're comfortable with. Some people are not comfortable with it. But it was just, I just knew it was the right thing for me. And I do encourage when people are like, I would love to do that. I wouldn't look like you. I want to do that. I said, yes, you can. Yes, you can. And you don't know until you try.
Exactly.
We're all beautiful in our own way. And just the fact that we have been sold, you know, that if you have this, it's a color. Why is red not old and black not old and blonde not old, but gray is old? It's just a color like all the other hair colors.
Exactly.
So that's why I look at it as just another color. So.
Fantastic. And I'm sure that when you decided to also not color your hair anymore, I mean, you are still pretty young. I'm sure that you had some pushback from other people, maybe some girlfriends that would say to you, oh, no, you're too young for that.
I did. Almost like I said, everyone was very supportive. My husband was very supportive. My kids were super supportive. But I did have, in particular, 2 women, and I still remember their comments because they were not the nicest, but, you know, saying, you don't need to do that. You're too young for that. And I was like, well, none of your business, 1, but ow, that was mean. Number 2, support your fellow ladies or gentlemen or whomever, just support your fellow humans. But they did make some mean comments, but it was in particular just 2 people. But especially after that first year, you know, that first year of growing out is tough. and I did not do any blending or anything. I just went for it. So it was not a pretty year, but that's okay. It's an opportunity for growth.
Literally,
literally, you have to go, but this is about the bigger picture. And so I did have a few negative comments, but I would say 98% of the world was like, wow, that's really cool.
Right.
So I wish I could do that. I wish I was brave enough to do that. And I say, you can be.
Exactly. So interesting that you're saying that. When I was doing the research online on gray hair, statistics and myths and facts and whatnot, I saw that Sarah Jessica Parker has also allowed some of her grays to come through, and they highly criticized her because she was, the paparazzi took a picture of her when she was sitting outside of a restaurant in New York having lunch, and she pulled her hair back. And I think that that's usually when you see most of the gray hair. Mm-hmm. And they highly criticized her, and her response to that was, hey, you should applaud somebody for having the courage to go through such a big change in their lives, not criticize them. Mm-hmm. And that's what I know that I also encountered a little bit about that. Adria, tell me, because you and I kind of started simultaneously allowing our gray hair to grow out. So tell me why you decided to go through with this, and how has your journey come along?
I too started getting gray when I was in my late 20s and colored it from then on. And just the time spent in a salon was probably the biggest part, because I would go after work. So you're there at least 3 hours or close to it. And then the cost. And I talked about it for a long time, and then chickened out every time I decided I was going to do it. And COVID I should have done it then and didn't. And I kept looking at different people that had gone gray and thought, I can do this. But I, working, knew that I just couldn't have gray here and dark here. So I had to do it gradually. So I did do the lighter, trying, because I had dark brown hair, so I was trying to do the lighter and just kind of blend it in and do it gracefully. And it worked. I was able to do it gracefully. And now, as Katie mentioned, I get stopped more now than I ever did with compliments and who's your hairdresser, who's coloring your hair. And I look at them, really, somebody would pay to have this color. No, that's the reason I have this color. I'm not paying to have this color now. But you get more compliments being gray than not being gray on your hair. Mm-hmm. And it is very liberating. I enjoy it. The only person that I had to worry about being happy was my husband, and he's okay with it. Can't believe how often we do get stopped to people to compliment on the hair. And I remember being on vacation, I think it was last year, a year before, and my daughter, there was a lady, we went in this little gift shop, and she had about the same hairstyle I did, and hers was gray, and she brought me over and she said, Mom, you could do this too. See, it looks fine. And I think that's when I decided, yeah, I really could do this.
It is, like I said, very liberating, very empowering. It is a big change because society kind of frowns upon it every now and then there are some people that are really pro women doing this. I know that I have a dear friend. Her name is Karen, and she says, I have earned every single gray hair on my head. And I agree with her.
This is true.
100%. I do have another very dear friend who was like, why would you want to do that, Julie? And I was like, you know what? I'm just done with trying to look, in all these different ways. And Facebook reminds me every year I had a different look. And from now on, it's just the growing it out and having beautiful curls with gray hair in it.
And it's, for me, it was fuller, softer.
Yes.
When you color, you have the breakage. So, that was a real nice benefit because you're like, okay, well, I have the gray, but it's better hair. And, it just encouraged me to keep going further. My son, who is just turned 23, well, he's about 23 and a half. He is about 20% gray already.
Wow.
And my kids were super encouraging. So they have, are very empowering as well. They're not like, oh my gosh, my mom. But when he talks about how much gray he has and he sends me pictures all the time, oh my goodness, Mom, I'm turning into you. But his friends and his girlfriends, especially, in their women in their early 20s, and he'll say, oh my gosh, I'm turning into my mom. And they say, you better hope so. They're like, you're going to be a silver fox. So.
Yeah, the mom is beautiful. Thing about men is that society always says they look so distinguished and so handsome. And I do think so. I mean, look at George Clooney. He looks pretty good with all his gray.
But that's the difference, is they get called distinguished and we get called old.
Well, we're not. Mm-hmm. And with that, we're going to go on a quick little break and we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Ralph Winook with Dale Sorensen Real Estate and ResidentialRalph.com. When you're interested in buying or selling a home, contact me. As your agent, I will work nonstop to ensure that your buying or selling experience is smooth and stress-free. I will be there for you at every stage of the process to answer your questions and help you make an informed decision. So, why wait? Contact me, Ralph Winook, and schedule a consultation with me today. Visit ResidentialRalph.com. That's right, ResidentialRalph.com.
Advertising is essential. You've got to make people aware that you're there. We can do that with a cohesive marketing campaign from Evergreen Media. Based on your business goals, we'll create a mix of digital advertising on social media sites like Facebook, video advertising on streaming sites like Hulu and Paramount Plus, and supplement them with local TV and radio ads. Build awareness, educate, and inform the public with a cohesive marketing campaign by Evergreen Media. Check out egreenmedia.com or search online for Evergreen Media in Vero Beach.
Blue Dolphin Pools strives to provide quality service with a well-trained staff in the field and in the office. They want you to know that your pool or spa investment means much more to them than just another account. They believe you have entrusted them with your investment, and they'll do their best to see that it stays in top condition. Blue Dolphin Pool has been in business over 35 years, setting them apart from the competition. Residential or commercial, Blue Dolphin will keep you in the swim. 567-5853.
For those tired of staring at laundry as it piles up, the answer is usually putting it off as long as possible. For most, there's not just another minute to squeeze into a day to get the laundry done. Sunshine Laundries can help. This is Tom Rhodes, owner of Sunshine Laundries, with a reminder that 5 of our locations offer drop-off service. We'll wash, dry, and fold. For locations and hours, we're at sunshinelaundries.com, and with laundromats all along the Treasure Coast.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Growing Old Fearlessly. I am here in the studio today talking to my friends, Adria and Katie. And before we continue our conversation, I want to give thanks to our sponsors, Evergreen Media. They have cohesive marketing plans. If you need to get a hold of them, you can reach them through the website egreenmedia.com. I also want to thank Ralph Winook. He is Residential Ralph. He is an expert advisor on real estate needs, and especially the Heroes on the Move program, which assists veterans. You can reach him at residentialralph.com. So, Katie and Adria, I have another fact about gray hair. And it is that hair doesn't turn gray. Because everybody always says, oh, her hair turned gray. No, hair doesn't turn a different color. It's when your darker hair sheds naturally, the new one that is growing comes out either in a shade of gray or silver or white. As is, we have all seen, I do have, Katie, you were talking about your hair and how you had so much white right in the front of the, like on the top of your forehead. And I do too. I call it my money piece. People pay tons of money for that money piece. And we have it naturally, which is, it's, I guess it's God's way of blessing us because he is giving us this natural, beautiful look that, as you mentioned earlier, we do keep getting compliments on. It's not something, it didn't come out of a bottle, and you're being supported by your husband. My husband loves it as well. He is very happy that I decided to just, go natural, and it's simply a part of aging.
Yeah.
So we talked about how society talks about men and they find them distinguished. Not so much with women, unless you're like already like all the way gray, and then it's like, oh, you look beautiful. Like my mother had a beautiful white hair, and not that I envied her when she had it, but it's something that when she allowed it to happen, because I remember her coloring her hair when I was much younger, and she was a blonde as well, to disguise those whites. And, eventually she let it go, and she looked better than she ever did. So I have another graphic, because there are some celebrities that have decided to embrace their grays as well. One of them is Jamie Lee Curtis, and I think we have seen her many, many times with her beautiful hair, and I think it's absolutely gorgeous. While I was doing my research, I found out that Andie MacDowell, who, I mean, look at her picture. She has an absolute beautiful mane of hair, right?
I think she was always known for her hair.
Exactly. But she spent 36 years as L'Oreal's spokesperson, talking about coloring her hair and how she was worth it. And she has changed her tune. She looks absolutely gorgeous. Amazing. She says that she feels more comfortable than ever now with those grays throughout her hair. And I don't have a picture of Selma Hayek in there, but she has been posting on Instagram pictures of herself, and she's an absolutely beautiful Hispanic lady, right? With dark hair. Yeah. And now she has these little grays that are coming through, and she calls them her the white hair of wisdom. It's what it is. It's wisdom. So I think that, at any age, that whenever we decide that that we're going to go for it, and we're going to just allow the natural look to us, it's really good.
The tagline for L'Oreal: "You're worth it. You're worth loving yourself that much. You're worth appreciating yourself that much."
Exactly.
I am worth it.
And Adrienne, I mean, and now like going out and having people kind of stop you and compliment you on your hair, it must feel like really satisfying.
It does. It is. It was just been liberating. I think it's because my hairdresser did everything to talk me out of it, mainly because he didn't think I was going to like it. But I finally, when I went for my last appointment, you have to walk up the stairs to get to the salon. And when I was walking up the stairs after I got up, he was sitting at the reception desk, and he said, "I thought I'd never say this." He said, "But your hair is absolutely gorgeous." He said, "And I am so glad you did it."
There you go. I think everybody. Just last week, I went to get my hair trimmed, and my hairdresser. I don't think that he was convinced that I was doing the right thing when I told him what I was doing. And then he was like, "You know what? This looks absolutely fabulous. I wouldn't change a thing."
Right.
So that's great. We got some myths about gray hair. Number one, and it's funny because you mentioned it earlier. Plucking one gray hair strand will make more grow out. False.
It didn't stop it, that's for sure.
Gray hair accelerates when parenting teenage children.
I would agree with that.
We would agree, but it's false.
Or having
and
a
gray
husband.
hair doesn't grow long. Well, I think that Katie is a perfect example that, yes, it can. I wanted to leave everybody with a quote by Jamie Lee Curtis, and it's very important. This word, anti-aging, has to be struck. I am pro-aging. I want to age with intelligence and grace and dignity and verve and energy.
Wonderful.
So everybody, let's go out there. Let's grow old fearlessly. And I'll see you everybody next week. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
you.